Welcome back to the React Native Masterclass, where you learn the beginning, where you learn React Native fundamentals from zero to hero in 2025. In this video, I will be showing you how to set up Expo and to run the Expo application in your computer. In the previous video, I showed you how to set up Expo application on Expo on your computer by installing all the dependencies you need to run the Expo application. In this video, I'll be showing you how to run the Expo on an emulator and your physical device. Now for the physical device, all you need to do is install the Expo Go app, which I'm going to leave a screenshot of it in the video description. I'm going to show you the screenshot right now. You're going to install this Expo application, and with that, once you open it, just simply click on scan the QR code, and you scan this QR code here, and that is going to bundle your application and run it on your physical device. Now if you do not have an Android device to test it, or a physical device, next thing you just need to install Android Studio on your computer, and with Android Studio you should be able to create an emulator and run it on your device. Right, so let's create a new terminal. We're going to come back to our terminal window here. And to install Android Studio, you simply run the command sudo, let's say sudo snap find Android Studio. Now this is to install it on a Linux machine. If you're using Windows computer or Mac, simply head over to your browser and search download Android Studio, and you click on the first link, which is developers.android.com. You click on that first link, and you should be able to download Android Studio by clicking on the first button on this hero section called Download Android Studio and the name of the Android Studio. So if you click on that button, it's going to automatically begin the download for your operating system. In my case, this is a Linux operating system, so it's going to begin the download. Now for those of you using Linux, back to our terminal, you have it here. This is the Android Studio, and this is the latest version of Android Studio, latest stable version of Android Studio. It is available on Snap. So it's Android Studio Koala. To install it, just simply run sudo snap install the name of the name Android Studio, and also this is also classic. So you add the classic label. And you hit enter, and that is going to install Android Studio. Now I already have it installed already, so it will tell me that Android Studio is already installed. If you don't have it, that's going to run the installation for you, and it will install Android Studio. Now once that process is complete, you can now run your Android Studio by running. I'm going to open my own Android Studio. Let me drag it in from my external screen. Once you finish installing Android Studio, you're going to see a couple of progress indicators. Not this. You're not going to see this because I already have. This is a project that I was working on. Simply click on next, and then you're going to arrive at this screen. Alright, I just removed that project that was there. So once you finish installing it and clicking on the skip and next, you're going to arrive on this screen, which is welcome to Android Studio. What you need to do is click on more actions, and you click on virtual device manager. That is going to open this window with your virtual devices. Now I already have some virtual devices which I am using. In your case, you're not going to see any virtual devices in this case. What you have to do is click on the plus button up here to create a virtual device, and that will open the window for you to select a type of device that you want. It can be a phone. You can see the different phones that are available, a tablet, a Wear, a desktop, a TV, for whatever device you're developing for. In this case, we're developing for a mobile, so you select the device. Let's say I select a Pixel 7 that has a Play Store. This Play Store symbol means that it has Play Store already available. If it doesn't, that means you have to manually set up Play Store for that particular device. So I also advise you to select a device that has Play Store on it already. I'm going to select this Pixel 7 Pro. This is the screen size. Now when you check on my own emulators here, you see that most of the ones I have are custom emulators, which means I customize it based on my own requirements. Now, if you don't want to customize, you just need to click on next. You just need to select the device and click on next, and you're going to select the operating system you want to run on that emulator. I'm going to go back to show you something. So you select the device, you can click on clone device, and in this window you'll be able to configure it. Now, some of you may have tried installing it and you notice that the emulator is very slow or doesn't work perfectly. So you can edit the emulator. So this is an edited version. You can see the type is a phone. The screen size, so you can change the screen size if you want. I'm not going to change that. You can change the resolution as well. Now this is what we are going to change: the RAM, the amount of RAM that you are allocating for that emulator to use. In this case, by default, it runs on a 2 GB RAM for all emulators. I'm going to change this to gigabytes, and I will boost it up to say 8 GB because I have 16 gigabytes on my machine. So once I am running emulator, I want it to run using 8 gigabytes so that the emulator runs more smoothly and you don't have the lagging once you're using the emulator. Now you can do some further customization, such as the back and front camera, such as these sensors. Perhaps you don't want to use some of these sensors like an accelerometer. If you don't want that, you can remove it. You can remove proximity sensor, GPS. Now these are things that you may not require to use. You may not want to use them on your project, so you can toggle those ones off. I'm just going to leave them on. Now you can change the skin of the emulator as well. So this was a Pixel 7 Pro, but I can change the skin to look like a Pixel 8 Pro or any other device from the list. I'm not going to change mine. I'm going to leave it as it is. Alright, so those are some of the configurations that you have. The most important one is this memory, the amount of RAM that you allocate for the emulator to use in order not to have it lagging. So once you do that, you see the name is going to change to edited. So you can also rename the device as you need. I'm going to click on finish, and that is going to create. As you can see, it has been created, and it doesn't have Play Store, though the original Pixel Pro that we selected had Play Store. So you have to manually configure this Google Play later on. Now I'm going to click on next, and here you have a list of operating systems, different Android operating systems that you can use for the device. So you have like Android Pie, Android Oreo, Android Nougat. So for whichever operating system that you choose, you just need to click on the operating system. So say I click on Android Pie, I'm going to accept the terms and conditions for this. So you can read through this if you want. And once you do, you click on next, and that is going to start downloading that operating system. So this download is very heavy. It's about 1 gigabyte or more. So it does take some time depending on your internet connection, of course. I'm going to cancel this, and I will choose an operating system that I already downloaded earlier. So it's refreshing. I don't know if I already downloaded this one. I'll click on upside down cupcake. Alright, I already downloaded that operating system. So as you see, the process just skipped to the finish. I already have the operating system. So here you can also edit. So in the Android virtual device, it also added the operating system at the end of that particular emulator. So it's saying it is running on API 34. You can modify this as you can change the name, of course, but you cannot change the API. If you want to change the API, you have to go back and select a different operating system. Now you can customize the orientation, how you want it to look once your emulator starts. If you want it to be in portrait or in landscape, most people just always leave it as default, which is portrait. And I think that's everything. You just click on finish, and that is going to create your emulator. So if you check here, this is the new emulator that I created, Pixel 7 Pro edited with API 34. If I click on run, that is going to start our Android device. Now notice, if you are not unable to start your Android device when you click on start, it may be because you may see an error like you need to enable KVM. That is because for you to run the emulator, you need to enable virtualization on your device. If you don't know how to enable virtualization, just look up a tutorial or a Google search on how to enable virtualization, which is often by configuring your BIOS settings to enable virtualization, and that is going to be able to run virtual environments like this one on top of your operating system. So if you're having that error, that is how you fix it. Now our operating system is booting. This process usually takes quite longer if you're booting it for the first time. If you're trying to run the operating system for the first time, and I'm having issues with my particular Linux version or Linux installation and my emulator, so I keep seeing this warning telling me to force quit. So I'm not sure you're going to have this in your own case. I'm not sure you will have it. So for the first time, it's going to take some time to boot. It's like setting up the device, and I'm going to pause the recording now and we'll resume once it is finished loading. Let's finish loading my operating system. As you can see, this is the Pixel 7 that I chose running with that particular operating system. Maybe it's the operating system that is causing me to receive these errors. I don't know. Maybe I'll change the operating system and we'll test again in another video. Alright, so once that is finished loading, simply go back to your browser and we need to install the Expo Go app to be able to test the emulator. So I'm going to go to Google and I'll search for Expo Go app, APK, and we click on I think it's the second link, Expo Go for SDK 48. This is a particular version of the Expo Go for SDK 48. Now if you check in our application, you're going to see the version that we are running. We're going to close that, and in our Explorer, let's check in our package.json file. Inside of Expo, you're going to see the version of Expo that you're running. In this case, you are running Expo SDK 52 point something. So it is this first number that matters. That is what we're going to download. So we go back to our browser, and here we have to select the SDK that we want to run, that we want to download, because if you download an older version of the SDK, you're not going to be able to run it. It will not run the newer SDK version. For instance, here as you can see, we have SDK 48. So if we download it, it will not be able to run that Expo SDK 52. So you have to download an SDK, an Expo Go SDK version 52 to be able to run it. I don't think I can change that here. So let's go back and choose and take another link. Alright, good. This is the link you're supposed to choose. So as you can see, it's saying that the latest SDK version is the SDK 52, which is the latest version. I'm going to leave a link to this URL in the video description, expogo.dev/go. Now, like I said, if you are using a different SDK version, just simply come over here and you choose the one that you are using. In this case, it is 52, which is the latest version, and you click on download. You can download for your Android emulator or your iOS simulator. You can download anyone you want based on the device that you install, the emulator that you had or simulator. I'm just going to click on this. Oh no, this one, and I click on download. And that's going to download the APK file. So we're going to wait for that to finish downloading. You can see my download has started. I just checked my device and it seems I already have the Expo Go SDK 52 downloaded. So I'm just going to skip while that download is going for your own device. I'm going to open my own, which is this here, and I will install it on my emulator. So to install on your emulator, to install any software on your emulator, simply drag the APK and you put it on your emulator, and that is going to begin the installation for that particular APK. Or for an iOS app or it's an API, you should be able to do the same process, and that's going to install it. So as you can see, the installation is completed, and this is our Expo Go app on the emulator. I'm going to click on it to launch the Expo Go. And now to start our emulator, back to the code, we're going to close this. And down here, you can see the link to your emulator. Now to run it on your local app, you can run it using this command, But if you're trying to connect like a physical device, you always use this to run it as well. This is to run it on the web. Remember Expo, okay, you can use it to build both web application and Android. So if you press W, it's going to open on the web. If you press A, it will open on Android, and if you press I, it should open on iOS. But we are using Linux, so we are not able to run on iOS. And I'm just going to type in this command, this URL here in our emulator to start the application on the emulator. So come here, you type in exp, not expo, exp://192.168.1.157 on port 8081, and you click on connect, and that should run our application. You check. Made an error while typing the IP address. So it's .1.168.1.157. Let me check again. Okay, yeah, this is what I was trying to tell you. The Expo Go app that I have is for Expo SDK 50, not 52. So as you can see, the application has rejected that particular Expo version. So you have to download an SDK, an APK that works with the particular version of the SDK that you are running. So we're going to go back to our browser. Okay, so my installation is completed. If you check now, I have the Expo APK downloaded. So I'm just going to cut this from here, and I'll paste it where I had the other one, which is here. So you can see the difference. This one says it's 0.3 and this one is 0.32, which means it is the SDK 50. Alright, so back to our emulator. I'm going to close this, and I'll drag our new emulator into our new APK into the emulator, and that should upgrade the APK to the new version. Right, so once the installation is complete, I'm just going to click on the new Expo application to run it, and we're going to repeat the same process that we did earlier on. So I'm going to come to my emulator. Let's just keep waiting, and I'll enter the same URL that we did the last time. Alright, now we're just going to enter the URL. It is exp, not expo again, / and then my IP address. That is the local IP address, because Expo must run on a network. You cannot run Expo without being able to connect to the internet. Now, if you don't know your IP address, a simple way to do so is there's a terminal. I closed. Alright, this is a terminal. A simple way to do so is by running the command isconfig. If you don't have it, it's going to tell you to install ifconfig.net, which seems I do not have it. Okay, we should run ifconfig once more, and you should see that our IP address is this for our local area network. The IP address is this. So for Windows, just Google how to look for your IP address on Windows, and you should be able to get, I think it is ipconfig, not ifconfig, like this. Ipconfig for Windows to know your IP address or something. The port will always remain the same for Expo unless you have an application running to which is going to choose the next available port, like 8082 or 8083, depending on the number of tags that you have running. Alright, so this is like our Expo application that is started. It is using the default Expo, as you see. So it is like an empty Expo application. So that is how you set up Expo to run on your device, on your emulator and your device. So in the next video, I'll be showing you how to do the same process using Android, using React Native CLI, so that you should be able to do the same thing if you want to configure Android Studio with the CLI. A prerequisite for that video is you need to have Java on your machine. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.